Hello, National University College of Extended Learning students. This is David Goyette with your CSET Social Science review. We're focusing on world history today. We're going to look at the Ottoman Empire, its origins, and go through to the waning of its dynasties. And I'm going to cover, of course, some material that Christine had asked me to review there, and also help out Dan. I believe Dan's working on the world history section as well. So let's look at the origins of the Ottoman Empire. By 1300, the Byzantine Empire is in decline at this point, and the origins of the Ottoman Empire come out of a region we now know as Turkey, or what was called then Anatolia. The descendants of nomadic Turks started to settle, and as they did that, they started to gain some power and combine that power with a belief system. In this case, the belief system of that comes along with Islam. And as Muslims, they saw themselves as Ghazis, and you can spell that Ghazis. The Ghazis see themselves as warriors for Islam, and they begin to look for the economic and political opportunities to expand the empire. They collect under an emir. In this case, an emir is a chief commander. One of the most successful emirs at this time is a successful Ghazi by the name of Osman, O-S-M-A-N. And people in the West, because of a language issue, called him Uthman, O-T-H-M-A-N, and they called his followers Ottomans. And much like language derivations, where because of translation issues we get things like assassin from hashish, you also have these issues where Usman becomes Uthman, which becomes the Ottomans. So under Usman, the Muslim state is built between 1300 and 1326, and there we see successful use of gunpowder as a way of conquering the region. This is going to give them the advantage as they replace their swords and arrows with musket-carrying foot soldiers. After Osman, we see Orkhan, the first son of Osman, who declares himself sultan or overlord or major leader. He captures Adrianople, the city of Adrian, from the Roman period, and it's an important city in Byzantium. The next target, of course, will be Constantinople, but we're not there yet. Muslims in the Ottoman Empire had to serve in the military at this time. Those who were conquered by Orkhan and Osman were not conscripts. They were not forced into the military, although they did have to pay a tax. Non-Muslims were allowed to maintain their religious practices, not necessarily in tremendously overt ways in the public square, but they were allowed to maintain their religious beliefs, and they had to pay taxes. There's a brief hiatus to the success and growth of the Ottomans as Tamerlane, or Timur the Lame, crushes the Ottomans at the Battle of Ankara. Remember that Tamerlane was injured in battle. He was shot by an arrow in his leg, and his name literally means Timur or Timur the Lame. That translated to the Europeans as Tamerlane. He's going to successfully crush the Ottomans at Ankara. This is going to halt the Ottoman conquest of the region of Turkey and Constantinople. But then we see Mehmed the First. He's the first of four powerful sultans. He's going to begin with the conquest of a region near Hungary and the Balkans, and then it is with Mehmed II, the conqueror. in 1453, he's going to take Constantinople. Now here's, we hear, obviously the conquerors respected the city and saw the jewel that it was. It says here, after the Sultan entered the city and looked about to see its great size, its situation, its grandeur and beauty, its teeming population, its loveliness, and the costliness of the churches and public buildings, and the private houses and community houses of those and of the officials. When he saw what a large number had been killed and the ruin of the buildings, the wholesale ruin and destruction of the city, he was filled with compassion and repented not a little at the destruction and plundering. Tears fell from his eyes, and he groaned deeply and passionately, "What a city we have given over to plunder and destruction." This is from the history of Mohammed the Conqueror by historian Kritovoulos, Kritovoulos. You can see more on this on the website resources. So Mohammed II is very successful, and he conquers Constantinople in 1453. Suleyman the Grim follows him. Muhammad's grandson defeats the Safavids in Persia, and he takes Mecca and Medina and the intellectual center of the Muslim world at this time, Cairo, where so many things are going to precede the Western Renaissance. Really, some call it the beginning of the Renaissance, originating first in the Muslim world. Some historians, of course, would disagree with that interpretation, although most now see the war with, the introduction through these wars to science, optics, open heart surgery, the circulatory system. So many things are going to be introduced to the Western world, or to Europeans through these conquests. Suleyman, from 1520 on, he's going to rule for 46 years. He's Suleyman, his people called him Suleyman the Law Giver. He's known to most of the West as Suleyman the Magnificent. He conquers Belgrade in 1521. He conquers Tripoli. He is the most powerful ruler on earth at that time. Only Charles IV of the Habsburg dynasty comes even close to his power. He simplifies the tax system. He reduces government bureaucracy. He reduces government bureaucracy significantly, and he starts something called the Devshirme, which is a group of 20,000 personal slaves. These are drafted from the conquered Christian lands, boys from Christian territories, who are then trained. 30,000 of these soldiers that are trained, the janissaries or janissaries, are elite trained soldiers, trained for the Sultan and by the Sultan. They become the heart of the Ottoman war machine, and this leads again to greater success in the Muslim world. Muslims require in the religion of Islam, according to Islamic law, that they extend freedom of religion to those they conquer. This is going to lead to the millet system. Now, of course, this does differ with the teachings of who we'll see, the Wahhabists, and I'll read you a passage where we have some conflict there. This we will run into, of course, in modern times in the likes of Osman bin Laden, who traces their tutelage back to the Wahhabi beliefs. So the jurist of Najd, Najd, Muhammad ibn al-Wahhab, is an anti-mystical, puritanical believer in Islam. He is going to look for a pure, pristine Islam. He denounces all subsequent accretions of the belief and ritual substitutions. He forbids the worship of holy men, holy places, and the exaggerated veneration of Muhammad. But the millet system nonetheless was important because it extends rights to